What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining us for the State of the Market for April of 2024. I'm here with my buddy, Al Dragella.
Where's your buddy?
The hidden man.
How's it going, brother?
Before we got going on this, I'm looking and I cannot see Al for the life of me. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on with my computer. I can't see you, Al. And there was
hiding behind a piece of paper.
The
The hidden man. I didn't realize it was that easy.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I should do that
I know
on my
that Zuckerberg always has something covered in his camera, so
yeah, I should always do that when I'm on a conference call and I want to blow my nose or something.
Yeah, or flip somebody off.
Yeah. This is a family show. Sorry about that. That's why we didn't get the full appreciation.
Yeah. Well, one of us has is more crass than the other, so I think I might have done it. So, all right, let's see here. I guess we should get the State of the Market banner going.
State of the Market.
Yeah. So, gosh, we've been doing these for a while now.
We have
2020, November 2020.
Man, what a ride, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of ups and downs at this point, huh? Or at least one big up and one big down. I wouldn't say a lot of them, but
well, a lot of little mountains, little
market-wise, yeah. So, all right, I kind of went through. I looked at the weeklies for gold, and there wasn't a whole lot that pulled any money for vintage. So we'll look at the golden elite auction first, just to kind of go over that. But I guess beforehand, is there anything that's really stuck out to you, or it kind of feels like we've bottomed a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel just some general strength, things going for numbers that I thought are pretty high. I mean, of course, it doesn't include everything. No bull market does. I think there's been a little bit of I mean, there's still softness in lower grade, commonly found items,
right?
But in general, on the top 25% of grade space, I feel like there's some pretty strong offerings. That would be my pretty strong results, at least versus prior year type numbers. So
sure.
That would be, if it was easy to generalize, which it's not, that's kind of what I would generally say. What would you say?
Yeah, I think that's right. I feel like there's definitely been a separation between the higher end items, or the more difficult or scarce cards, scarce grades. Those have definitely pulled apart. We're kind of having a less middle class. It's all upper class or lower class kind of happening with the cards a bit. So fun time as a collector, though, if you're looking for lower grade stuff, and can still get some pretty amazing things at some deals. It's just a matter, if you're an investor, you really have to be more careful about what you're picking up.
Exactly. You got to be very savvy of differentiating what you're going to pick up.
Yeah. So, all right, I'm going to pop up this Golden Elite auction. There's a decent amount of items, I think, this time. And some biggies.
Some modern biggies too, right?
Almost 100,000 for an Mbappe. That's pretty amazing. I mean, here's an Alifa PSA 3 that went for 21 grand. That feels actually kind of light to me. just based, and that's probably me anchored on prices from the boom. But I mean, the back looks pretty clean. Front looks pretty solid. For a 3 like that seems like a pretty clean 3 front for a 3. And then
yeah, I'd say this is a very clean 3 to me. Like this seems like it's undergraded. I mean, we could complain a lot about.
I mean, just this versus a lot of the 2s that we see, it just seems like this is like, a very, very strong card.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't be surprised. Like when I looked at this card, I'm like, this is a 4. But you just you never fully know the scans,
right.
How that translates, and there could be a surface wrinkle or something like that. Which, if you didn't see, I dropped a video about going through the process of something that had just a wrinkle in the surface that was graded at 9, and I sent it back to PSA. So, and ultimately walked through the process of getting reimbursement from PSA on that. But I thought that this was a highly, great copy. I think that the corner on the upper right there, you could see on the back, was soft.
Yeah.
But the rest of the card is strong.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I'd be happy as the buyer, I guess, is my point. Like, versus the seller, because the seller, before BP, it's 18 or 17,000, and you got to feel not great having a strong 3 that's selling for what like 1s were selling for at the boom. And as a buyer, I'd be stoked. So, all right,
I would agree with that.
Let's see here.
I think the market may just have a little bit of a Leafa fatigue after the last.
And that could be too. Yeah.
6 to 8 months. Yeah,
there's been a lot that have been sold. I mean, it seems like it's kind of tapered down a bit recently, but again, how many people are looking to fork out $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 for one, after so many were just sold. So yeah, that's a really good point. All right, an Aquarela that almost hit 10K. That's pretty good for a 5. That feels strong.
I think one of the common things that you get, since we were talking about since the beginning of our videos, we've been calling Aquarela strong relative to their pops for 4 years, right? And it feels like to be more resilient of a card with such a high pop than anything else.
Yep. Yeah, because I mean it is like, I mean, just based on the pop, like especially if you don't differentiate between the black and the blue back. I mean, you're over 400, and how many other Pele's are over 100?
Yeah.
That, I mean, like consider rookies, like,
I mean, the Alifa, right? I mean, that's about it.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's just, there's just people who love that sticker and that image, and I get it.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not I don't collect a lot of modern cards, but these Beam teams really hit home for me because of when I was younger collecting Stadium Club basketball, and the Beam teams were like the Jordan, Akeem Olajuwon Beam teams. Like that's really cool for me to see soccer getting Beam teams.
And going for good prices, right? I mean,
yeah, for an insert essentially. Oh, this is a 101, so I mean, but yeah.
Oh yes, that's a 1 of 1. Okay, so that makes it a little easier. But yeah, I was like, holy shit, because they, I thought that was, I didn't realize it was a 1 of 1 either. But I'm like, fuck, man, that's crazy prices.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I assumed it was like under 100, but like, yeah, 1 of 1, that makes a lot more sense, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kind of veer off for a second, but because this record kind of made me think about this, and this isn't necessarily state of the market, but like hand cut items, I feel like the graders, we have some disconnect and some inconsistencies, and I feel like that's really doing a disservice to the buyers of items. Would you agree with that? Like, I think that it needs to get cleaned up because everything that's hand cut needs to be listed as hand cut, because when you get something that's graded a 9 and it's not showing hand cut, like some people might not realize that somebody literally could have cut that last week. Yeah. And so I'm just worried long term, at least in those situations, people are gonna overspend on items, seeing a high grade without it being labeled as hand cut. So I guess if you're a buyer, make sure you're educated on what you're buying and why or how it got that grade.
Yeah, and there's been a number of discussions most recently about the Masola PSA 9 on the Discord, kind of about this.
Yeah.
I mean, hand cut items are generally tough, right? Because of exactly that. You can cut it, and then you don't like the cut, like this fat bordered red.
Yeah, that's exactly what kind of made me think about it. Is like, well, that got an 8, but like, what if they had gotten a 3? And somebody's like, oh,
then you could trim it down even more. Now, I think a lot of this, which is just the general problem, is why are these typically grading lower? And it's not necessarily because the quality of the cut. It's more about because this is on a magazine
dents
cover
or bends.
Dents or typically bends in these. Which is what a lot of the hand cut ones have that you don't have. So it maybe not get to the full crease level, but you can definitely see just a permanent bend in the item. And sometimes there is a crease or even a fold, right?
But I feel like with the hand cut, like cardstock items, in particular, that's like maybe more of a concern. Because with these paper, there's probably things we can't see on these scans that may be causing that. But
then you've got other ones, like just looking at your screen right there. So you've got the titulares below the 86. And that's actually had been labeled hand cut, but it's not hand cut. Those are not hand cut. And so it can also work the other direction where you're told that they're hand cut, but they're not. And there's just irregular cutting from the factory in these cards, right? And so you need to kind of get okay with a larger variance of factory cuts because it was probably some guy on a guillotine, and depending on how many times he had, how much drinks he had the night before, turned out on what cut you're gonna get, right? So I think you're right. I mean, the key message here is be educated, because and if you're not, or you don't have the education, don't bid until you get more into your knowledge and where you actually feel comfortable versus not.
Yeah, because I think, I feel like, let's just use PSA because they're the biggest grader. Like, I feel like they're doing a good job of cleaning things up over time. So like, that's just one of the other things. Like, I get it, you're doing things kind of Wild West wise back in the day, and then things get stuck however you did it back then. And just hopefully this is another one of those things that over time they get cleaned up. So I have confidence that it will at some point. It's just a matter of when.
And it is important for the hobby to get it right. Absolutely, going forward. So, and I think that most people know the bigger cards, what they are. I think kind of the problem is more in the smaller, cards that don't trade as much, that people maybe don't know. And I think that's where there's probably more risk. I think most of the big higher volume stuff is labeled correctly now, at least.
Yeah.
And just know that when you see actually H/C on a PSA slide, that means hand cut. So watch out for that. And if you're not comfortable with hand cut cards, steer away from anything that has H/C.
And like for the most part, those are because they're all in, like a lot of these cards were issued in sheets, and it's people cutting these sheets, and or they're like the records, they're on a magazine cover, and so it wasn't issued as is essentially. So
yeah. And then the SGC ones will actually say say the word hand cut. I don't have one here, but it'll actually say hand cut, spell it out for you. You don't have to look for that HC.
Okay.
And I don't know, go up to the Beckett slab up there for the 3000. Does that even say hand cut? Oh, you can't get in there?
I am. I'm just, it does say hand cut.
Okay. So they spell it out too. I was unaware of that.
All right. So that's still a good price, $2,700 for the a PSA 1 86 Titulares Pele. I think that's kind of close to what we've seen the other ones sell for. Here's a Cruyff Palarex 2, sell for under $2,000. I don't know how the back was.
I didn't check the back, but I mean, I'm slightly disappointed in that price because we haven't seen one in a while. But I guess that may be why the back is thrashed.
Yeah, the back has a little bit of like it looks like there might have been some like almost glue stain or something paper at the top.
Yeah.
Am I sharing it right now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, so it feels low for a 2, but like, yeah, I mean, it's not a bad back really for a 2 when you think of most of them could be thrashed. Like you can read all the lettering on that. So,
it's a little lighter than I thought, but again, I didn't carefully look at the back. That 57, like magazine looked pretty cool.
Yeah, that's got to be one of the earliest ones with him on it, huh?
I think there's some earlier ones, but I just thought the magazine cover looked cool. And I think it had a more modern signature on it. But still, I thought that was super cool looking. I mean, a great display piece.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah, it's a pretty clean autograph, but it is, like, it's not shaky.
It's a more modern one, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not like his old one from the 1950s or 60s.
Right. He probably did it when he was like 70, not. But
still, it's cool.
Yeah, for sure. That's a pretty sweet piece. Okay, and then here's some more autographs. They got the Heinerle for 1,600. Sorry, I'm just observing other things. Let's see, any more vintage stuff? This is pretty Pele, basically index card, postcard sign.
Yeah, and that had the older signature, I think.
Yep.
From what I recalled. So that was interesting. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty sharp. Just a photo stapled onto it.
Yep.
Just somebody sending away for an autograph through the mail, it almost looks like,
Yeah, it's cool. I like those little things.
Oh, yeah.
And occupation is soccer player.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and this one's the same photo as the
Gazzetta and
the Gazzetta, yeah.
And the
that's pretty cool.
Americana. Pretty cool though.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a surprise to me.
Yeah, it's a good price, isn't it? I mean, granted it's at 8.5, but like,
yeah, I think
it should be more.
Yeah, monster grade, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't even think there's any Cruyffs that are 8.5s. I could be wrong, but
yeah. And for anybody that didn't know, here's what the record looks like with as the whole.
So if you got a good pair of scissors, you can cut it out and maybe get yourself an 8 and make 3.
Yeah, don't get those fabric scissors with the
with the jagged edges.
Yeah.
Hey, it's hand cut. I wonder what they would give you for that. A little jicky jag, you know.
Add a little flair.
Add a little flavor, yeah.
Oh, that'd be amazing. I wonder what they would give.
I know.
Let's find out. Let's buy a cheap one, Al. Like you and I will just
buy one and see how they grade it.
Have like a craft scissors that does some weird design in it. Yeah, hell
exactly.
Yeah.
Who says it has to be straight? It's still hand cut.
Right. Yeah. That'd be interesting. Maybe we need to ask one of our contacts at PSA, see what they'd say.
Yeah, that'd be funny. I can imagine the conversation in the grading room. What do we do with this?
What do we do? Exactly. PSA for Vanderhoot for $300. Man,
that's had such a bloodbath in that card.
Those have really, really tanked. Yeah, so I guess that's pretty much it for Golden. Nothing I feel like that was horribly low, but there was stuff that felt low. But it's stuff that is a little bit more available. And then there are some pretty strong prices. Ray just asked, did you see the Fangio Popo for sale at the Elite auction?
Yeah, actually, I have not seen that for sale at the at Golden. Let's see how it goes. I mean, F1 generally has been slaughtered. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how a Popo goes.
Yeah, something. Anybody that doesn't know what that is definitely worth taking a look because they're pretty sweet designs. Oh, he just wanted to get your blood pressure up.
Oh, yeah, it's not going to get my blood. I got to, just kidding. Oh, my God. I thought I could show him. I got,
he just found a 1938 Fangio.
You know what we've never seen is a 43 go. Speaking of that,
wonder if anybody has any.
They're out there.
Okay.
PSA grades them.
All right, we're gonna go to the PWCC Premier auction now.
Yeah.
So there wasn't many. So it looks like there's five items total that at the premium or premier auction. We had a PSA 10 Mega Crack Ronaldo went for $80K ish.
And that's a premium to the last one. A relatively significant premium from what I recall. I thought the last one was in the 40s or 50s.
My little brain doesn't remember shit. Yeah, so here is the Ronaldo sticker that graded a pristine 10, Beckett 10. Let's be clear.
Yeah, but this is the wavy one, I think. So if you actually, this is a real sticker, right? Based on the cert and just my visual inspection. The problem with this is when you turn it to the side, you know how Beckett does some of that waviness. You can see it better in the video, from what I recall.
Oh, okay.
And you can see the waviness, and it's just like, ugh, that's brutal. At least that's what I recall on this one. So it's got to basically stay in this holder, because if you try to crack it and get it out, I'm sure PSA would ding it significantly. But I mean, if you just look at the front, I mean, beautiful centering, nice colors. It's just unfortunate that Beckett holder appears to have damaged the sticker.
Yeah, that's a concern with some of the holders in the hobby right now that people need to at least be aware of, that we've seen with the thin stickers starting to kind of get a little wavy in there. We see it a little bit with the CSG or CGC holders with Beckett. So just if you're buying them, you might want to ask somebody to take a photo from an angle so you can see if there's anything going on with the Panini stickers or anything like that. Okay, a PSA 9 Platini Aghidu Katifs for $15K.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I mean, it feels like I mean, it's way down, right, relative to the Boom. I didn't inspect it very well, so like I can't speak for the actual grade, but like the price feels like it should be around there. I think. If anything, I feel like as a major, like one of the greatest players getting his rookie as the highest grade you're probably ever going to see. Like it feels like a decent, opportunity for a buyer. But I don't know. I don't recall like what anything like this has sold in the past. So like just looking at it as this is, like the piece.
I think this one kind of topped out at like 50, if I'm not wrong, and then it kind of, bottomed out right around 10. So it's a significant bump off of the bottom, but obviously a significant fall from the top. Feels about right for this market. If you had to ask me, where I thought that it was going, certainly the 10 feels really low. 50 feels, in the context of this market, really high. So, probably closer to 10 makes sense. But still, I mean, and I didn't go over every square inch of this one. These, also similar to the Vanderhoots, have a few that have been overgraded in my eyes. So, I kind of feel like somewhere, depending on the copy and how you perceive it, that, somewhere in the high 9s to 15 seems like a good place for this. There's only, 5 or 6 of these?
Yeah, I don't know. I could take a look once I
yeah,
but there can't be many more than that, even if there is. If there,
like, it says population, at least on the auction. I don't know if this is accurate. This is 1 of 6, none higher. So,
there you go.
Yeah, and then 2 of them hitting. That could be interesting. But anyway, I kind of feel like this 10 to 15 feels right for this card. Obviously, a long way off from the 50 that it was in the Boom. But it is a key sticker, right?
Yeah,
it's really hard to deny the importance of the sticker.
And some of the mud that had been flung on him has kind of been lifted a little bit. So I think that long term, he's not going to quite have that that negative stigma pull, So, all right, and then the last one was the Maradona disc 7 that went for $69,000. Ray says the weekly sold for $11,000 on March 3rd. For the 9 that just was up there. Thanks, Ray.
So that's what I'm saying. It was. I thought it was around 10, but it's 11 to 14. Again, I think you really got to look at these copies, not just by the holder, the 9. You really got to look at them.
But I don't feel like it's that materially different. I mean, it's 30 some percent more, but like, I don't feel like that's outside the range of reasonableness. If there, maybe this 9's copy looks better, so.
Yeah. Which I'm not saying either one.
Correct.
I didn't look at them.
Yeah, we don't know for sure, but just that if that's the case, it doesn't feel unreasonable. And what do you think about this 7 going for 69,000?
Yeah, this is another one that I didn't feel like the 7 was the warranted grade here, but I think that you can look at it on two fronts. You can say, wow, this is like super important, one of the most important cards ever. You can see these little dots on the side, the brown dots on it. And so therefore it should be one of the most expensive soccer cards out there. At the same point, there are 2 8s now, whereas before there weren't. And, while this thing topped out well north of 100, given the fact that it's not a super strong 7, I kind of saw this as a strong result. Given, I wouldn't have been shocked if this did 30,000. If you asked me before the auction, that's probably where I would have put it, because I thought people would probably discount the copy, but I think some people just went after the holder here and was like, well, it's a 7, it's a huge discount, and it's super important. I don't know. What were your thoughts on this? A big sale, though, right?
It is. It feels big. I don't necessarily know if like 30,000 would have felt like it was an incredibly low price. I mean, because we've seen some graded copies that are overgraded copies. Like, let's just be real, right? And this one might be overgraded, but I don't feel like it's as overgraded as some of the other ones that we've seen up for sale. So, compared to those, like, I mean, maybe 40 or 50 feels more appropriate. Compare, I think 30 seems really, really low, but regardless, this is a strong price. And I think I agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, I think you remember a few months ago, we talked about a PSA 6 in REA that went for like a little less than 10. And if I look at the card, I probably preferred that PSA 6 to this one.
Oh,
and if I could pocket $60,000,
well, yeah, at that price for sure, yeah,
and have one, a 6, that's something that I probably do in this circumstance, especially just looking at the cards. And on these cards, I actually looked at them closer. I was a bit early on this one, but I wasn't going very far because I just didn't love the card. So, but if you just take that away from it for a second and say, hey, it's a 7. How do you feel about the 7 at Maradona 77 disc? It's 70,000. Feel pretty good about it. I think it's a pretty solid sign for the market.
Yep, I think I agree with that. So. All right, that was everything for the premiere auction. So I'm gonna pull up just a few of the weeklies, the past couple of weeklies. We can kind of scroll down real quick, and just see if anything catches our eye. So this is the one that just ended this past Sunday, and I just sorted by the highest price. So we have this Falcao 72 that sold for 2,400. I mean, you don't see too many of those. So,
yep. And that same one sold for 3,800, I think, last time.
Okay.
So I mean, he's a second tier guy though, right? So I think it's still a strong price. I personally like this sticker a lot, but understand why it's a little bit under the radar screen for most collectors. Did pick up that bloomer next to it though, to add to my postcard collection.
Oh, you did? You bought that? That's a
Yeah.
sweet one. I mean, we see these, since I started collecting, you'd see these pop up every so often, but not very frequently. And just such a incredibly cool looking postcard.
Yeah,
It's
so
got like
I was
all
hoping
of
to
his
get it.
caps on it, and
Yeah, I was hoping to get this cheaper, frankly, because it had writing on the back, but it was mailed, which I always like because it helps you to place the date. It was just, I'd always missed this one in the past, and I have a number of his postcards, and I'm just like, all right, I'm just gonna get this one now, finally. So it's kind of fun. Look at it. He goes, I went to see, if you read the little caption, if you see if you go scroll down a little bit, I went to
I
see
went
the
to see the
cup
cup tie
tie yesterday.
yesterday. Rovers deserved their win. Simpson a little gem.
I think it says Crompton.
Is that Crompton? Off color
I think
altogether.
so, yeah.
Bloomer scored grand penalty goal. Frank, take care of
That's kind of fun, right?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What
Yeah,
I wanted to see the can you get the data for that?
I couldn't actually get the date off of this, but I mean off the stamp. I couldn't differentiate it, but it was just fun because I mean the person there actually saw it, bought the Bloomer postcard, and then mailed it. I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. So like they add some charm to it for sure. Well, congratulations. That's a strong price, but
Yeah,
like you said, it's not something I see often,
Yeah, it was quite a bit more than I thought it was going to be, but I guess somebody else liked it too, right? Because all you need is two people to
yeah,
bingo,
that's right. We got I prefer the Libro de Estampas over the 77 disc for the
well,
I think that's good because you can the Maradona.
Yeah, you can definitely pocket some money if that's the case, which is awesome.
Yep. All right, let's see if there's anything else that catches our eye. Arthur Smith, the general interest, Godfrey Phillips for 630. That seems like a pretty okay. I mean, it feels fair for a PSA 3. Those have definitely come down over the years, or at least since the boom. But
remember, like even back in the day, this was a card that people wanted, right? This was always a couple hundred. Like pre-boom, this would typically be a few $100s anyway. So
yeah,
like the multiplier here, it's not pre-boom levels. I'd probably say this card pre-boom is, I don't know, 200 to 300. Would you say?
I agree with that. I paid around 200 for a Bassett 15 years ago.
So yeah, so I mean, from that perspective, on a calibrated perspective, it's not a terrible entry point by any stretch of the imagination.
All right. Yeah, and then we're getting down into the few hundreds, so I'm gonna pop over to the week before, see if there's anything that catches our eye. So this is the one that ended 2 Sundays ago.
Yeah, so that was a week Alifa, one Pele at 4,000. I don't know. How do you feel about this 7 Beckenbauer?
I mean, it looks nice. I mean, yeah, obviously we have some centering issues, and the corners look, at least from here, look decent. Price wise, I mean, I feel that's pretty strong, right? For a 7. But
I think what's showing here, I was hoping to pick this up, but I think the last 8s were right around 10. So I felt like this was kind of strong. Now, I think I have been slightly wrong that I thought we would see more and more high grade ones. Hey, Holt, I would rather, I mean, I kind of expected to see a little bit more 7s and above, but
Yeah.
right now I think there's less than 15 at 7 and above in terms of the pop. So I can kind of see the narrative where people may say, it's been a while since there's been a high grade one. There's still only 15 or less than 15, I think, that are 7 and above. Let me get one of the top Beckenbauer rookies and
Yeah.
convince myself it's worth $7,000. That's a fine narrative, and I totally get it, right?
Yep. We have the Imperia 4200. Those things just keep pulling decent money.
I mean,
It's a pretty
super high
cool
grade,
card.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's an
love the
8.
format of it. Yeah.
I mean, that's the cheapest you're probably getting in Alifa. I mean, I know it's pretty beat up, but like, I mean, at least you can read his name and you can tell it's hit the card and all of that. You know what I mean? Like, to pay $4,000, that seems like a great buy for somebody who's been waiting to get something, below the, 8,000 to 10,000 mark. So,
Yep.
I kind of want to look at the Lampo Dino Zoff. We don't see a ton of those.
I got that one, man.
Oh, did you? Well, there you go. So you're happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, look at again. I thought it was a super strong price. I didn't expect it to go this much. I know it's a high grade.
Zoff seems to have some collectors, though, at least from what I've seen. Like when we see like the first couple of something get listed, because we see the blue border one a little bit more, but the white border, I mean, I don't know if I've seen one up for auction. And
there was one a couple years or last year or a couple years ago. I think it was like a 3 or a 4, and it went for like $600-700. The white one's always been elusive to me. It's so weird. I don't know why it seems so hard, but at this point it was like, hey, this is an 8. I know it's got the MC, a little bit of the next card on the bottom, but I'm like, fuck, I'm just gonna go for it. And I didn't expect it to go this high, but you know what? In the end, I'm happy because this one's been on my list for a long time, and but it's just, I think that's the big difference that I'd say in the market. Like whether it was a bloomer or this, it's been like, man, to get the stuff that I want, it's costing me more than it has generally the last 15 months.
Yeah. But yeah, it's cool to see some of this stuff come out and listed at auction. So, and it's good to see that people want the items too, so
even that little that Pele next to it, the Chobil, which is the smaller one that has that FHER, like obviously an 8 monster grade in these issues, whatever, but it's like I don't think we would have seen $1,300 for a 1966 Pele, regardless of the rare version it was. 15 months ago, and while I was way short on that one, it just, I think it's a good sign for the market.
Yeah, I agree. Showing a little bit of a breadth of the what people are interested in. So this seemed kind of low to me for a 7.5 for the Cruyff. I mean, that's a pretty high grade for that. So I feel like if I'm the buyer, I'm happy with that price.
Oh, that's good you said that, because I was the buyer of that.
Jesus, Al. So at least you got one.
I got one. I felt at a decent price. That was part of the rationalization to do the other one. I'm like,
I got this as a deal. I'm gonna just fire off some money elsewhere.
But basically, but yeah, I mean, I think look at the more that I submitted in the stickers, which I have submitted quite a few of the stars from 70 to 86. It feels to me like the 74s are the toughest grade. And I'm not exactly sure why, because they have white borders just like everything else. It's just bizarre to me. It's really, really hard to get 7s or above in the 74 stickers.
Yep. And I mean, how many are graded? Just 3 graded higher. So yeah, like I
And I
bought a
think those
6
are
in this for like 600, and I felt really good about that. So I think maybe I'm basing this 7.5 for $120 more. So
I mean, look at here. I just grabbed some that came from my recent submission. A 3, a 5, a 4. Right? These are just hard. There's a couple outliers in here, but I just graded like 20 of them, and 6. It's just hard to get these in. Like even 6s are hards. So
yeah,
and I don't know. I mean, it's not the same with 78. It's not the same with 70, 82 or 86. So in the end, I don't know why the 74s are so hard, but they are hard. Here was an 8 that I got, but just again 7, 7, 6, 4, 4. It just these are hard. So I finally decided I'm going to get one. It stayed reasonable.
yep. I
My
think
my
that's a
my
good
other
buy.
one was a five of Cruyff, and I do think this is the key sticker to the set, in to the 74 set.
Yep. I agree. And it's got to be his top Panini, right?
But I have it as his top Panini.
Yeah. Ruiz Romero Di Stefano 9, which is a high grade. I mean, these are hand cut though, aren't they?
Yeah, so that's the thing. These are hand cut, and
But then it
it
doesn't
doesn't
list
say
it that
hand.
way.
It doesn't
Yeah.
list it that way. Back to your other thing. So I feel like this is a slight overpay on this one. Even though
Yeah,
the
I think I
grade's
agree with
tremendous.
that. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like like
It's
ridiculously over,
it's
but
not egregious, right?
yeah. But I would say that's a really strong price.
Yeah, I would rather have PSA 3 1953 than this one, which may be in the same ballpark.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've kind of gotten into. Here's a 54 Didi. So that's kind of early for him.
Nice.
Kind of
There's
rare.
a number of nice runs on some of these 1950s Brazilian stuff, which
Yep.
we still don't see a tremendous amount, despite some of the high prices we got. And everybody's like, "Oh, there's always going to be more coming out of Brazil." There just hasn't been a terrible amount to my eyes.
I think that might be true on certain issues, but I think that there's just other issues that that's just not the case. And maybe it will be at some point in time, and they're correct. But it does feel like, especially like the early to mid 50s, it just doesn't feel like there's a ton out there, at least in the market.
Yeah.
So
with the exception of the Vecchis.
Correct.
There seem to be a lot of Vecchis.
Yep. And let's see. I did pull a few just from. It only lets you do what I just sort by the previous 2 weekly. So I just pulled a few others that popped up that caught my eye, that we can kind of go over, and then we'll be pretty much done. So this one, I thought we've seen these kind of take a hit. These Cruyff postcards, $800 for a 4. That's kind of the Trilco. I feel like I would be really prefer to be the buyer there, because it's still really early. It's a 66, right? So like,
yeah, I mean it's the earliest. It's the earliest not like solo graded item, right? Because he's on the team postcard from 64. Is that right? 64?
I think it's 64. Yeah.
And then there's this, and I love the image. I have one
Totally
somewhere over here displayed right off to the side. I think it's an awesome image. Certainly early. I think these top out at a PSA 6, if I'm not wrong. I guess I could check that while we're talking. So
that's a solid looking
yeah.
one.
Now, I guess these always were at a discount to the what do you call them? The
Palarex.
The Palarex, right? This was never, even though it's graded earlier, because of the size, it was never like the most expensive.
Right.
But yeah, certainly, I mean, for my taste, this is a great item. I have a number of these and feel like it's just such a great display piece and an early item. So
well, and I think like you and I have talked about this before, and I've never been like the biggest fan of these, but like at this price point, I feel like that's like okay, maybe now's the time to jump in. Like I feel like this is a pretty good price for such an early Cruyff, regardless. So
how do they have it listed? 1966.
Vita Nova Troco, Johan Cruyff, Decal Edge postcard. Yeah, we can make some records, some Decal Edge.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The record Decal Edged one. Yeah, there's 50 of these graded.
Okay.
And there's 6 6s. There's 5 5/5.5s, and there's 17 4s.
Okay, so it's a top half-ish.
Yeah, top half-ish at a 4. There's 6 authentic or 1s.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, look at it. It's a mid. So the equivalent would be Palarex like 3, more or less, would be like top half, or maybe it was like 3.5. So yeah, I mean, I look at, if I wanted to get into Cruyff, this is an excellent add, like you were saying earlier, I think, to a collection.
Yep. All right, and then there's just 2 more. There's we'll go back to some pre-war. The Meredith at Work PSA 1 sold for $720.
That's low. Do you think that's low?
Yeah. I mean, like they were going for like 1,000 to 2,000, really. I think during the boom, like raw. I think.
Yeah, I kind of remembered 2,000 plus, but maybe you're right. And this is a 1. Did you check the back?
I can do that right now. So it's it's pretty marked up, I guess, like almost the patina, so I mean, doesn't look destroyed or anything, but there's definitely markings. And so
is this the Tab Sportsman, or is this general interest? I forget.
I think it's general interest. Yeah,
general interest.
So I mean, like I think that's reasonable, but it is low relative to where we were a few years back.
Which everything is, I guess. And from that side, I just haven't seen a lot of those sell.
Yeah, I think somebody sold one on Discord for under 1,000 within the last 6 months or so. So maybe that's where, like, maybe I have that data point that you don't. So
yeah, because I think my brain was sticking closer to 2, but maybe I just missed it.
All right, and then the last one. Oh, go ahead.
I was just wondering what the pop was on the one. I just found it. So look at the pop is 14.
Okay. And this is one of the earlier. It's the equivalent of like the Wills, early career Meredith. So, in action. Some people like it, some people don't. But 14, that's not a lot.
Yeah, and it tops out at a 2.
Okay.
So, I think,
Yeah.
I mean, how many you say that the wills? How many? I wonder how many wills there are.
Oh, I
Like
bet that
3
I'd have to
times that
imagine
number?
there's double that at least.
Yeah, I was gonna probably guess 3 times, but anyway.
Okay.
Yeah,
30 to
let's
50.
I still I kind of like this buy. It's 700.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
always
I agree
like
with
the
that.
crowd. I liked the crowd behind, and all you could see all the outfits that they wore at that time. I don't know. But I guess it's not for everybody.
Oh, dang it. Okay. And then the last one I just wanted to post was something that we don't see a ton of at auction. It's the Sindelar oversized like sales card, right?
Yeah,
But
I love the look of this one. Like in person, I know that the holder probably scared people away. I even forgot this was in the auction, but I
yeah,
think
this
that's
was from a
kind of
few
a
years
disappointment.
ago. This was April
I
21st.
So how do you feel about this? I kind of feel like I'm slightly disappointed in the price
Yeah, I
based
agree
on
with
the
that.
player.
Yeah, I agree that I felt like it should have probably been higher just based on how few we see. There's 44 wills, so 3 times. Good call. 44
Yeah,
wills
and then this
Meredith.
one, I don't recall seeing it at auction, honestly.
No, I mean I think we've seen a few like maybe on eBay over the years.
Yeah.
And but yeah, not too much. I mean, maybe that little chunk in the top left corner scared some people that aren't real knowledgeable about it. But yeah, it's I feel like that's a good buy for whoever purchased it.
Very,
So
very uncommon. So uncommon pre-war superstar with like basically movie material life.
yeah,
That to me is like a screaming buy.
yep, I think I agree with that. Brad says tried for a few years to get a deck of these cards with that Cindelar with no luck. So
It's tough. It's a tough one. I have one copy. I didn't even know SGC was grading those, which is good to know.
Yeah. So yeah, we got through another month of the state of the market. 58 minutes in, and yeah, it feels like we're kind of just like we said at the beginning of the show that there's definitely some things that are pretty strong, and it's just a matter of knowing where you are with your collecting / investing and where you want to put your money. So, as a collector, it's still a lot of fun buying those cheap cards that we would have had to pay 4 times, 4 years ago. So,
Yeah.
Any other thoughts?
Nope. Again, I had to pay more than I wanted on the ones we went through on some of those. So I think that the market's definitely either I've got somebody on my tail collecting the same way I am, or the market's getting stronger.
Somebody probably put something on your computer when they hacked you, and now they know everything you're bidding on, and they're just bumping you up. They put a cookie on your.
Yeah, just seeing what you're bidding on. No, I think I think there's a few of the higher sales. I feel like we're chasing the holders. That was one thing that I've generally felt here, and I could say it probably goes back more than just this month. Other things which we don't tend to look at on this show, in the reasonable stuff like less than $50, if you're on a budget, there's a tremendous amount of mid-grade and low-grade stuff that you could build an absolutely fabulous collection without having to, if you weren't worried about having the highest grade. if you're just into eye appeal and collecting things, man, it's still an absolutely tremendous time to pick up tons of things at less than $50, depending on what you're collecting. But literally in all categories that I check, there are deals out there. So, you know, you got to put in the time to build it, and it's a bit of a grind, but there's definitely lots and lots of fun stuff out there and incredibly reasonable prices, many pre-boom prices. So
Yep.
Get digging if you're into this space. It's a super fun space to be in, even right now after things have fallen quite a bit.
Yep, I agree, and appreciate everybody that was watching live, and appreciate everybody who watches this over the course of the month. You know, we still have a really steady base of people that watch. You know, it's not really changed that much even after things kind of tapered down. You know, we see less activity in the Discord, but it still seems like there's a really good foundation of people that still watch this every month. So appreciate that, guys. And yeah, hope you guys do well. Have a great month, and we'll see you for the May State of the Market. Have a good one.
See you, everybody.